Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pick Six podcast. I am your host, Brad Gilmore, as always, joined by the General Jeff Smith. Jeff, how are we?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Look, today is a great day. Today is a great day because the whole idea of this podcast is to expose the other to movies that might be guilty pleasures, movies that might have gotten a lot of spins, as the kids say, in the VHS tape decks and things of that nature. The ones that perhaps you were one day too long on your rental and you got it to that Blockbuster right after the time, because you wanted that one more watch of it and you weren't kind. You did not rewind. That's what these movies are all about. And there was we did so far. I'm halfway through now my picks because I did The Phantom, you did Ed Wood, and then I did On Her Majesty's Secret Service. And then you decided to counter with North by Northwest, which I like how we're doing this chess game here with one another. And then I said, you know what? You want a cinematic classic?
You want Hitchcock?
Too bad. Yeah. Too bad. Because we're going to go into the world of pro wrestling.
You got range.
Ready to Rumble. And it's our first movie in the 2000s.
Yeah.
And it's actually in the year 2000. And boy, did it feel like the year 2000.
I've got that written down. That's one of my notes. Boy, oh boy. Yes. I think when My Own Worst Enemy by Lit kicks in, I'm like, oh, here we go.
So there's several thoughts, obviously, we're going to get into in this movie. We have our categories that we'll do, but I'm going to start just kind of with a little bit of a soliloquy on where we were in the world in the year 2000 and why this movie got made. Because there's been several movies about wrestling or wrestlers, especially in the last several years. You just had a movie come out a couple months ago, Queen of the Ring, which was really, really good. You have The Wrestler, Darren Aronofsky's classic, The Wrestler. And you have several other films and television projects that come to mind with like Glow and Heels and a lot of things. This one, I would say, is not at that cinematic achievement of a real gritty pro wrestling story. Wasn't there a Henry Winkler movie where he was a wrestler back in the day?
If not, I'm going to write that down because even present day Henry Winkler would be at least the manager, at least the Sal.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk about Sal. I have a lot of great stuff on Sal Bandini.
So you're saying this movie does not pull the curtain back as much as some of the other wrestling media out there as far as the story or the presentation of professional wrestling?
I would say that's accurate. I would say that it one of the problems with the movie, and there's a few, but let me start by saying I love this movie.
Yes.
I love this movie.
We can love and also see the flaws, much like children.
Exactly. Yes, that's exactly what I thought about. So, yes, first off, I love this movie. I have a lot to say about the background of it, and we're going to get to that right after I answer your question. I think that it plays with it. It goes in and out of, we want to show behind the scenes, but we also want to stay in the make-believe and kind of like balance, like walk a line. Because there's some things in here that are just so ridiculous that obviously have no basis in the reality of pro wrestling, or should I say the reality of wrestling. And then there's also things in here that are wrestling oriented. And there's
sometimes in the same scene.
Yeah. And there's also a few things that I think were pulled from real life in some ways and used in this script. And I can see where the writers or writer, I don't know how many people made a pass at this one, who weren't credited. It's written by Stephen Brill, but I can see where perhaps he was trying to pull from in certain regard. You know, this was a great run for him, Stephen, because he did Ready to Rumble. But let's go actually back up a little bit. Here's his writing credits: The Mighty Ducks. D2, The Mighty Ducks. Heavyweights. D3, The Mighty Ducks. Ready to Rumble. Little Nicky. Mr. Deeds. Sex, Lies, and Videotape. And Movie 43, which that one I would not. I think he was a director of one of the segments.
Have you seen Movie 43?
You know what? It came up on Amazon the other day, and I almost sat and watched it because I know about the legendary rap of it, but I did not watch it.
I've seen it.
Halle Berry's in it. That's all I know.
Halle Berry is in it. A lot of people are in it.
Yeah. Do
Hugh
you
Jackman.
watch the movie and, like, get why they made this or no? Or is it like, what did people see in this?
No, there's no reason other than the directors must have the backstory. Sorry, we're gonna go on a tangent of movie 43 is that they just must have pestered their A list because it's the Fairley brothers who did Dumb and
Mhm.
Dumber and those kind of things. They must just pester them forever just to show up for a day and be silly. And maybe they had fun on the set. It's very possible. They're like, this is ridiculous. This is crazy. No one's going to see this. And it's just got such a huge cast that alone was what sold it to whoever distributed it. And now it's considered one of the worst movies of all time. That alone made me want to see it just for the backstory.
Yeah.
Sometimes the backstory is more fun.
Well, to give you some more backstory on Ready to Rumble, there's a few things to definitely go into. One of them, though, this movie's made in 2000, coming really off the tail end of the zenith of the 90s wrestling boom. From 96 to about 2001 was what's referred to in WWF circles as the Attitude Era. And this was really the launch of pro wrestling in its biggest, most highest box office until these last couple years. The 90s were for pro wrestling. 80s, mid 80s was huge with Hulkamania. And then it kind of lulled out in the what's known as the new generation, which WCW kind of wasn't doing much. They were a third-rate company, essentially. Ted Turner owned them. They didn't really get out of the Superstation and the South and Atlanta, Georgia. And then a guy named Eric Bischoff took over as the executive producer of WCW, and he made the decision to go head-to-head with the WWE for Monday Nitro and Monday Night Raw. They went head-to-head at the same time every single Monday, and he did a lot of things. Eric Bischoff is a very polarizing individual. I have no doubt that this is who Titus Sinclair is based on in the movie, who is played by our guy Joey Pants, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But he did a lot of stuff. He would go on television and give away the competitors' results on TV. He would say, "Hey, that
live,
show,
right? Yeah,
this Nitro was live and Raw at the time was taped." And they'd say, "Hey, so they would come on 2 minutes early." Because that's how much sway, because Ted Turner owned TNT. So he could do whatever he wanted. So they'd come on a couple minutes early and just go, before you change the channel, here's everything you're going to see on the other show.
Wow.
Here are the results. Yeah. So just stay here, right? So this was coming off the wrestling boom, and WCW with the NWO, with the Hogan defection, they had Macho Man Randy Savage, they had Roddy Piper, they had Mr. Perfect, they had Rick Rude. A lot of the stars of the 80s into the early 90s kind of went over to WCW, and WWF at the time had The Undertaker, pretty good star, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, kind of coming up. But by the time this movie came out, they had Triple H, Mankind, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and then the other names that you'll probably know from that era of wrestling. So there's a hot wrestling boom. So Hollywood, they got to go, wait, what's hot right now? Pro wrestling's hot. Let's greenlight. Let's get this thing into production. And you have two leads in David Arquette and Scott Conn, who at sometimes I found myself laughing out loud, and sometimes I found myself rolling my eyes. But David Arquette, huge pro wrestling fan, continued to be a pro wrestling fan, which I'm sure that we'll get into. But Jeff, what did you think of this movie? Just your overall thoughts at first.
Okay. I agree with you. One of the very first things I thought of was, oh my gosh, 2000. The funny thing about nostalgia is you don't realize that there are tropes when you're living in the middle of it. And you don't think, oh, this is going to feel very, sometimes, but for the most part, you don't feel, oh, this is going to feel so 2025. And in the year 2000, in the late 90s, I went and saw a lot of movies in the theater. And this was one, obviously, it's a pick six. I did not go see. But as soon as it started, it reminded me a lot of movies like Road Trip and those kind of comedies from the late 90s and early 2000s. And I appreciated the beginning where it kind of went into a weird fantasy sequence. And I thought, oh, we're going to do a lot of that. And we really didn't. And then my next thought was, how old are these guys? So I immediately had to Google, like, how old are they? Because they should probably be teenagers. or they seem a little old. And Arquette was 29. His character is almost 30, doing what he's doing and feeling what he's feeling in this movie.
But he's playing younger.
I hope.
He's playing like 21.
Because he is living like with his dad, and his dad's telling him, you need to get your life together and get a job and be a man. And then it felt like it was kind of this comedy about these dudes, and then wrestling I almost felt like watching it. You could tell when the studio bought it and made it a WCW movie, because it would kind of switch over in the vibe, like, oh, now this is WCW the movie. And then they go back to, but now we're septic workers and we're doing pranks on each other on the job. And then now we're like messing with the girl that works at the Dairy Queen. And so I won't say I liked it. I enjoyed it for the vibe. I enjoyed for the nostalgic trip to a time I remember going to the movies a lot. I don't think it's a good movie. It's a fascinating movie.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that I have 15 pages of notes that I wrote while doing it with questions. I'm so glad I have you, the wrestling expert, on here, because I was a wrestling fan in the 80s. So I appreciated seeing Macho Man right off the bat.
Top of the line, brother.
That was great. So yeah, cream of the crop. I appreciated that. That's kind of like, okay, I'm in. And then they kind of do other stuff in the movie. I'm like, uh-oh, I don't know about this. And then the dad, who's kind of like right out of Bill and Ted. And then they even brought the Bosco old lady, who that was like that was when she was cream of the crop. She was in Wedding Crashers and Wedding Singer and Road Trip, actually. She's always played the old lady that said inappropriate things. And there's always some old lady that's like really into wrestling that says, I want you to kill him and rip out his soul. And there she was. And so I appreciate it for that. It almost felt like they didn't realize they were spoofing the era in the middle of it. But now watching it in 2025, it's like, oh, you're doing like a spoof on 2000s or late 90s movies. And then you threw in a tie-in for wrestling. So it almost is like accidentally clever.
I did have some early, like, okay, I'd say for the first maybe 15, 20 minutes of this movie, right? I'm going, wow, this is a lot worse than I remember. You know, this kind of sucked. Like I'm really having, I think it got to the point to where they're driving the septic tank. Jimmy the King just loses for the first time ever. And boom, they crash the septic tank.
And the poop and the toilet paper.
The toilet paper. There's a point where they get they're eating their lunch next to a leaking septic tank. You know, those things I'm going, ooh, this is a rough watch, man. I can't believe I made Jeff watch this movie. and with it right after that septic tank crash, where they kind of get into the road trip, I go, oh, okay, we're kind of picking up a little bit here. Like we're picking up a little bit. And I think about halfway through the movie, which I would agree is too long to wait, but about halfway through the movie, I think by the time they're rolling Jimmy the King into the New York Arena, as it was called, and not Madison Square Garden, the New York Arena, as the time they're rolling him into the back, I kind of felt like we were in full gear. And I was like, I'm actually really enjoying now what I'm seeing. And maybe it's because it was more pro wrestling once they got into the road trip aspect of everything. There's more wrestling involved, and I found myself obviously liking those parts of the movie more than the poop jokes and the state trooper thing with his dad and the
nuns.
And like the nuns,
they were farting nuns.
They were farting nuns.
See, that's my point about the tone. It felt like it originally was going to be like a Dumb and Dumber road trip movie. And then they went, okay, now it's wrestling. So we'll do all of our favorite parts of the road trip movie in the first 30 minutes, and then we'll get to wrestling. I felt like all the road trip stuff should have been gone. Like they didn't need to go see, I guess they did because his son had to show up at the end, but they didn't need to go see his crazy ex-wife. They didn't need to
Caroline
go
Ray.
see, they didn't need, to find freaking Shermanator from American Pie, who's internet savvy, and his dad thinks he's not masculine. I have so many notes about masculinity and like the mixed messages this movie sends on what it is to be a man. because it seems to have a message, and then it just takes a septic tank dump on it at the very end of the movie with the very last scene. You're like, oh, we learned nothing. Okay, fine. But maybe it's not that kind of movie. But that's why it felt like a parody. It was like, we're going to do this big message on what it means to be a man. And then the last thing we do is beat up the clerk and make him say something terrible.
Oh yeah. So yes, I agree with a lot of that. And then there also seems to be like some just lines of dialogue that I'm like, why was this mentioned and then never really picked back up? And maybe I missed something. So I was going to ask you, Scott Conn, who actually, on the whole, I like Scott Conn a lot.
I don't know why he's friends with Arquette though. Like, I don't know what his move is. Like, Arquette seems to have. I even wrote down a whole thing about mental disorders because
he seems to be a little.
Yeah, there's something a little off, especially
he plays it like he's on the spectrum. Yeah.
Yeah. I have written down for Gordy, persistent delusion that professional wrestling is real. And that's where we were talking about how sometimes they show the behind the scenes, like they show Sinclair, like, make the decision in the ring, like, here's the new ending. But then they have a lot of things like, no, this is the real deal. He has his hallucinations. So obviously that's a little something. His impulsiveness for pranks, that he just can't help it as a like adult. His weird takes on intimacy.
Yes.
With our good friend Rose McGowan, is very strange. And then just, of course, disassociation from reality after Jimmy King loses. How he decides, you know what, we're the only ones that could change this. He doesn't decide, oh, that match sucked, like a lot of wrestling fans would. Like, I'm disappointed with that outcome. I wanted it to be the other way. Nope. We are going to change our lives and fix this. And go save this guy. It's got to be us, the adult fans. So he's got issues. Conn, I don't know why he's there. At the end, he goes all out and becomes the manager and stuff. I think he's just kind of along for the ride. I think he's a fan. And then looking back and having him introduce the movie by talking to the little kids, which is also a weird mixed message too. They're even kind of saying, like, this is for kids. And are these adults funny that they believe in this? But then they take them seriously. I don't know, very schizophrenic movie, which is funny that we're talking about mental disorder. The movie kind of has that vibe as well.
The movie does have some mixed messaging. A few things I wanted to ask. First off, with Scott Conn, there's a line of dialogue where after Gordy's dad like shakes them down at the convenience store, which also grabs his private part, which made no sense. And then he was like, would you like to be on the other side of this shakedown? And then Scott Conn was like, so you want me to grab your nuts? Which I thought was that line was actually kind of funny, but also so strange. I don't understand what the point of, like, was it that a commentary on like the guys who are always hyper masculine or actually
secretly gay,
closeted?
Well, it was 2000. Gay jokes were of the rage.
Big. Yeah, they were of the rage. Here's the other thing. Right after that, they're in the septic tank driving, I think, to the job site to get or whatever, right? And Gordy goes, man, my dad sucks. And then Scott Conn's character goes, well, at least you got one. And then he's like, oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then I never hear about it for the rest of the movie. Yeah. I never remember hearing another line of dialogue. There could have been one, but I didn't hear it. So the fact that I didn't hear it, I did write a note. I was like, and I was going to ask you, is this a joke because Scott Conn's dad is a legendary actor?
Oh, if it is.
Was that supposed to be a joke? Like, at least you got one.
Yeah. Mine's been The Godfather.
He should have been Superman, you know? Like,
I don't know. It's kind of like those things in like the movie, another wonderful classic bad movie, The Room, where the lady says, well, it's official. I have breast cancer. And then
you never hear about it again.
Okay.
You never hear about it again.
Yeah. Little drop, like, hey, my dad's dead.
Yeah. And then that's it. So it's like, yeah, Gordy, your dad might be a jerk, but you know, learn to like him because at least you have one.
Yeah, at least you have a dad to grab your balls.
Yeah. And then, so there's a few things, but this is the other thing on Scott Conn's character, what was his name again in the movie?
Yeah, I do. Sean.
Sean, yes, Sean. Couple things on Sean. He actually seems a little too good looking to be.
They both do.
They both do, but I'd say Scott a
No.
little bit more.
He's a handsome man. So when he's having issues with the Dairy Queen girl, and this, I did want to say that because I think it is a probably negative stereotype to typical wrestling fans. I mean, let's all pause for a second, everybody, and look at Brad Gilmore. Very handsome man, big wrestling fan. So obviously there are exceptions to the rule. I think most of them look more different.
There's a stereotype. There's a stereotype of what you think a wrestling fan would
and
be.
It's not James Caan's son.
No,
who doesn't really give an indication why he's a super fan of that, when really he should be so busy having lots and lots of intercourse with women that he should have no time to know what wrestling history is.
Well, yeah, he just seems a little too good looking, and not that David Arquette isn't, but also I'm like surprised in some ways that Arquette becomes the wrestler and Scott Caan's the manager, because there's also some like athletic moves even when they're there at the job site. Scott Caan hits him with a suplex.
Yeah,
there's a point I think where it's DDP's on the ground and Scott Caan like slides in and like snakes his legs around DDP's throat. Really good. And he kind of seemed like the better athlete to me.
Should Arquette be like the funny sidekick and not the lead?
Well, I feel like David Arquette was a lead at the time. Like, he's a lead in a movie, in my opinion. Like, if you're going to have him and Scott Caan, it's definitely David Arquette. Now, Scott Caan will go on the very next year and be in Ocean's 11. So he was on a pretty good run after this movie. But you do see him.
He's a balloon boy. That's from Ocean's 11. That's my favorite line.
You do see Scott Caan here and go, wow, this guy actually, maybe I'm just all in on Scott Caan's character and just the way he did it.
He's good looking.
He's a good looking guy. And he also was like charismatic.
Yeah.
And I felt like, oh, wow, he's got a good on-screen presence. Like, you like watching this guy. Whereas sometimes with Arquette, although I'm a big fan of David Arquette, obviously, and we'll talk about the real life wrestling that happened after this with David Arquette.
I have read about that. That is controversial.
Yes. But he to me, I just found myself going like, this Sean guy is cool. Like, this is a cool guy. Even he makes the bracelet, which was like a really well done WWKD, and he was thoughtful enough to make Gordy one too.
Sell those.
He was
he's hitting his mental illness must be self-esteem, because he should be, he's better than this. Come on, dude.
Yeah. And so
he's too maybe codependent with his pal. Maybe that's it. He's just like, he's grown up with this guy, doesn't want to leave him, kind of maybe feels bad for him. And he works at a septic tank, which I don't know. And again, this is a terrible stereotype. I don't know how many good looking Hollywood types work in poop.
Right. And there could be. There very well could be, but we don't know. The stereotype isn't there. Let's talk more about the stereotypes here for a couple things. One, mainly, it's an odd, and I'm trying to figure out the depiction of the pro wrestler, or the pro wrestling fan, rather. Because at first it's like, oh, this is for kids. These guys are kind of lame losers. They're stupid. They drive a septic tank. The hot girl won't go out with them. They're, they live with their parents, and they're probably a little bit past the prime.
If they're alive.
Even the other guy who they encounter, the internet guru, he's, at a gas station playing a arcade version of Jimmy the King. He's kind of like a loser. The big star, Jimmy the King, is depicted as a big loser. Yeah. And that's something I do want to pick up on as well. And then even the girl who also works at the Dairy Queen, not like the one, not Brittany, the other one.
Yeah.
She's kind of made to be a bit of a loser. The old lady is made to look crazy. And I was like, there's not a great commentary on pro wrestling fandom in certain parts of this movie. And I don't know, did you think that the film that was a pro wrestling driven movie almost made it look like the pro wrestling fans aren't supposed to be like cool people? They're all supposed to be like a bunch of losers.
Well,
this is the biggest time in pro wrestling. That's why I was like, it's interesting. But like as a kid, it did start off like you almost like were undercover about being a wrestling fan. You go, oh,
right.
You watch wrestling? You watch it? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I watch it too.
And look at the people that don't do it in shame. They're standing in front of the convenience store preaching, and the weird bald clerk comes out and mocks them and then goes back to work as
You
the convenience store
boob.
clerk. Yeah, that felt like it was the dream sequence before the dream sequence even started. Like, okay. I don't know. It seemed like they didn't go all the way with either side. Like either make them cool or make them really weird, but they just kind of made them like, nobody you want to necessarily hang around with or watch or go to a match with.
Yeah.
That'd be the
and-
person that would sit next to you to go, oh, like not even in an entertaining way. Like sometimes when they're super enthused, you're like, yeah, all right, this is at least going to be fun. But they were just weird, but not in
They
a
were-
fun way.
They were weird. And even going back to the opening scene of the convenience store clerk, it was a line that me and my friends would quote to each other. Gordy, why does it look like you have your finger up your butt?
Because I have my finger.
Because I do.
Yeah.
And then he's like, he shows the clerk the Slurpee. The guy goes, oh, he goes, that smells like it came out of my ass, right? Yeah. Oh, it's awful. How did you drink that? Well, I struggled through most of it, and then the butt fruit just sank to the bottom. And I'm like, what is this movie I made Jeff watch? Let's talk about the pro wrestling.
I
go
will
ahead.
say, just real quick, I just want to say, but as bad as the clerk is, that fact that he leaves his post to go yell at people in the parking lot, he does refund or he gives them another Slurpee.
Yeah.
So he does have some work ethic, which surprised me because I was thinking to be consistent with the character, be like, well, that's what you get, you boob. He's like, no, let me get you another one.
Yeah.
I hope
he
this one
seemed kinda
smells
nice.
better, sir.
Yeah,
for a
he
second.
was kind of nice. I like the delusion there too, where he's like, that'd be $1.26. And then he's like, he's like $1.25. That's all I got. And then they go into the big thing with the Macho Man Randy Savage, who also had a bigger film credit after this. Can you name the bigger film credit?
Bonesaw.
Bonesaw's ready.
Spider-Man, yeah.
Just 2 years later, he's
He
Bonesaw.
bounced back.
Then a year after that, he dropped his rap album. You know what I mean? Like Macho was the guy.
Cream of the
That's
crop.
what's called a trajectory. Yeah, we're going to talk
Yep.
about that here in a little bit. Okay, so Sinclair. Let's talk about Titus Sinclair. So
Joey Pants.
first time we see him, we actually see somebody I'm familiar with in the background. That's Booker T.
Yeah.
Sinclair's talking to Goldberg and Booker T. This is pre-Dreads Booker. So this is 2000s Booker. This is
Took me
before
a
the world
second,
title Booker.
to spot him. I knew he was in there, so I was looking for him.
Yes. And
did he ever like really jump up to the front? He always seemed to be just kind of cool.
yeah,
in the
he was kind of he was in the background a lot, and then he was part of the King's posse at the end.
Yeah.
And this is actually before Booker's like ascent to a single star.
It felt like when they were filming it, he wasn't huge yet, but now whenever you see any kind of retrospective on Ready to Rumble, they always mention that he's in it.
Yeah,
because then he became, Booker T.
He became a big deal, and this is like literally the movie came out when? When did the movie come out? In 2000. But
April 2000.
April 2000. So this is 3 months. The movie comes out 3 months before Booker wins his first world title.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I'm sure they wish they got more close-ups.
I'm sure that they did.
Oops.
So when we see Sinclair, Joey Pants, I gotta say, is actually pretty damn good in this movie. I buy him as Titus Sinclair. Yeah. He feels like a wrestling promoter. He feels like an old guy from the Carney era, in the territories. And so does Jimmy King, Oliver Platt's character. But what did you think of Joey Pants and Titus Sinclair?
I thought, without knowing anything about who he's based on, I just felt, oh yeah, here's the slimy guy who's in it for the money. I'm sure this is going to be something that pays off. He doesn't care about the fans. He just likes the storyline that, brings in probably more like non-fan fans. And he seems to have like, he didn't like Jerry King for whatever reason. He seemed like a nice guy. He does act together. But yeah, I thought it was just, I think Joey Pants did well with it. It was pretty typical, like
it was a one-line,
cartoon,
like one note. Yeah.
Bad guy.
But I bought it. it. And the other thing is this. So he lays out the finish of the main event to Diamond Dallas Page, who shout out to DDP, another favorite of mine. And in Goldberg, who's sitting right there, and Goldberg's like, "Oh yeah, I'll relay the finish to King." Right? This is all stuff that does happen. A lot of pro
This
wrestling
is accurate.
a lot of pro wrestling is booked in the middle of the hallway. I hope I'm
Okay.
not speaking out of school here, but like I remember one time being backstage at Survivor Series. It was in Houston, and there was a big 5-on-5 Survivor Series match that was going to go on later that night. And I remember distinctly Triple H was in that match, and I remember him in the hallway with one of the other guys talking about, okay, we'll do this, 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 and this, right? So this in the hallways of every pro wrestling arena or locker room, the matches are discussed.
right before they go out.
Sometimes, yeah.
Wow.
Sometimes,
That's a lot to remember. That's a lot of improv.
well, so I will say in Booker's era, a little different, right? A lot of the times they would go, hey, what's the finish? Like they do in this scene. What's the finish? Okay, the finish is Diamond Dallas Page over on Booker T, Diamond Cutter, center of the ring. 1, 2, 3. Okay, cool. And that's all Booker and Diamond Dallas Page would have. That was all they would have. And then they go, okay, we'll call it in the ring.
Would they know how long
they know
how long the
minutes.
match was supposed to be? And then how is it the referee that's keeping track, or
referee gives you cues?
Okay.
Hey, you're 1 minute, you're 1 minute in. Hey, y'all got 5 minutes left. Okay, you got
Right.
5 minutes.
Start thinking about your exit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Work to the finish. And then there's a couple signals like, hey, y'all need to go home. If someone says go home, that means you're running short on time. Time to get to the finish. So
that's what the ladies sometimes tell me.
They tell you to go home.
Time to go home.
So a lot of guys of this era would just know their finish. And so what we saw in the ring, this is another thing where they're trying to kind of reveal a little bit behind the scenes.
Right.
When Jimmy King and Diamond Dallas Page are actually wrestling, it's like, hey, give me a hip toss. Give me a this. Give me a that. Leapfrog, whatever. Like they'll call what's called spots. They'll call spots to each other.
How are we in the crowd not noticing? Because I'm just thinking back as a kid, I never could tell they were talking to each other.
So this comes in certain things, right? This is why a lot of wrestlers tended back then to have long hair. There was two reasons. One, if you get hit, boom, that hair flies. So the guys all the way up there in the cheap seats, like where our Sean and Gordy were sitting, they could see the action. Yeah. And also, if you lean your head forward, that hair covers your mouth. You can go, all right, brother, tackle, drop down, leapfrog. And a lot of times if they have you in a headlock, that headlock was for two reasons. Let's rest for a second. Let's catch our breath.
Yeah.
And then let's figure out where we're going. All right. Hey, we're going to go here, here, here. Let's go. Boom. And then you go into it. So a lot of the times guys wouldn't know anything they were doing other than the finish of the match. That's all they would know. So they would call it in the ring, a lot of improv. And these guys would work on house shows. So many times, if say Jeff and I, you and I were in a program wrestling each other, we might wrestle on TV once and on pay-per-view twice, but we're wrestling on these live events that are not televised a dozen times. Yeah. So we have time to work out what our quote unquote match would be. Like,
and you could
do what I do.
Make little, it doesn't have to be the most exciting thing in the world because it's not going to be documented.
Right.
And there's no like big stakes or anything. No title changes. I went to a couple of those as a kid where when I got there, I realized that, the cameras weren't there. And even as a kid, I thought, well, Jake the Snake ain't taking the Intercontinental Championship tonight. It was a steel cage match with Macho Man during that era.
Oh, that's cool.
When I noticed the cameras weren't there, I'm like, well,
you're not going to change the title.
They're not going
to
tell us later, hey guys, you missed it. But in Long Beach, title change, and Jake the Snake is the new Intercontinental Champion.
So to me, a lot of that reads true. Like calling it right in the locker room, in the hallway, in the ring. Now there's a part where then Sinclair brings DDP aside and goes, "Hey, you heard everything I said. Screw that. You're going over. I told you I'd take care of you. Diamond Cutter, whatever. 1, 2, 3." That obviously wouldn't happen. But there is a famous wrestling story.
I know this
that has happened before, and this is.
Was it before or after this movie?
This was before.
It was. So this could be based on
the Montreal Screwjob.
Bret Hart, right?
Yes, as it's referred to, the Montreal Screwjob with Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. Where for non-wrestling fans, what happened? Bret Hart was the champion. He was leaving to go join WCW, and he didn't want to lose to Shawn Michaels. They had a long professional rivalry with one another. They were in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Bret Hart's a Canadian. He didn't want to lose to Shawn in Canada. These are guys who had real life heat, as we call it, with each other. They hated one another in real life. They had incredible chemistry, but they hated each other. There are a lot of real, quote unquote, shoot moments that happen on television where, Shawn one time said Bret Hart has had some sunny days lately, and that was alleging that he was unfaithful to his wife with a wrestler of the time named Sunny. There was a real life fight they had backstage where they were scrapping with each other and had to get broken up. So there was some real life
shoot moment.
That's a shoot moment.
Like,
There's some real life heat. So Bret doesn't want to lose the title. Vince McMahon says, no worries. Go out there. We're going to have a big schmoz ending. It's going to be a disqualification, whatever. And then allegedly somebody said, hey, if Bret doesn't want to do business, we'll do business for him. And Shawn went to go put Bret in the sharpshooter. Vince was standing there ringside, said, ring the bell, ring the bell, ring the bell. And Bret Hart was legitimately screwed out of the championship on live pay-per-view. And then afterward, punched Vince McMahon in the face in the locker room, gave Vince a black eye. There's a great documentary about all of this that happened in real time called Wrestling with Shadows. If you've never seen it, I highly suggest it. But I did feel like this is what that could have been based off of.
Yeah. I thought that.
Have you seen Wrestling with Shadows?
No, I know the story, and I don't know how I know it. Maybe just from like YouTube or even I saw the Vince documentary on Netflix. Was that included in that? What did you talk about?
It probably was.
Maybe. I think it's a story that even if you're a casual wrestling fan, you know of. And since also Bret Hart was from, Hart Foundation is from my era of the 80s, and I loved the Hart Foundation back then. I used to like the bad guys. So I'm aware of it. So yeah, when I saw that, I thought, oh, this is going to be an interesting movie too. They're going to take things from real life, and then not really. But even I thought I thought the character of Jerry King felt like
Jimmy
King felt like other wrestlers that I remember from that era too. Would you consider him like an amalgam of?
I think that he's an amalgamation of a few people. Yeah. I think he's a little generic, but I think his backstory is like kind of very common, like coming up on, a Southern circuit.
Why did I call him Jerry King just now?
Because Jerry the King Lawler.
Jerry King Lawler,
was a Memphis wrestler, kind of a similar build-ish look, kind of a little
out of
bit.
shape, kind of.
yeah, like kind of dad bod, but you think could actually kick your butt, and the story of Jimmy King on the road is like, he's not there for his son, and he's not faithful to his wife, and he blew all his money. These are stories that have been told in the history and annals of time of wrestling.
Yeah. It's like rock stars.
Very similar run in the 80s. And the only thing that's unbelievable is like having a wrestler go 14 years without ever losing before, and then they're going to just screw him out of the title on a Nitro. Yeah. That seems kind of unbelievable. And then things that continue to happen, like showing up backstage. This isn't in the script, as the cameraman said.
Yeah. Film this.
This isn't in the script. And then Sinclair going, you're going to get a match.
I decided right now
in Vegas
pay-per-view. We're gonna put it. Yeah, I'm gonna book the MGM Grand.
Yeah,
we'll take care of the pay-per-view. That seemed like that was kind of like almost behind the scenes too. Like they were saving something big for pay-per-view. I'm sure is what really happens. But the way they did it, like you said, was so just kind of spontaneous.
That I didn't really. Something I didn't understand about the movie is what was Sinclair's motivation to screw Jimmy King out of the title, because he was still over, as we say in wrestling. Fans still buying tickets for him.
Yeah.
He was showing up for his show. There was a comment that Diamond Dallas Page made in the match when they're about to lock up. Nice of you to show up, Jimmy. Oh, it was just traffic, baby. It was just traffic, or whatever he said, right? Saying that he didn't have to show up to the building like the rest of them on time. So maybe there's a little bit of a star attitude. Prima donna, starting to believe your own press clippings, believe in his own hype. Could have been, but I that was an interesting wrinkle. So Jimmy King, I didn't really 100% believe as some great pro wrestler, especially like when he's next to Goldberg and Booker and
Yeah.
Paige and
Yeah.
Sting, you
Yeah.
go, oof, you don't look like you belong.
One of
here.
these things is not like the other. That's the thing. Yeah, they decided to cast a very funny, good actor, but
Great actor.
you surrounded him with pro wrestlers where even the smallest of pro wrestler, if you saw them in the wild, would be
You'd be like, damn, he's big.
enormous. Yeah, and when I remember thinking when I saw that it was Oliver Platt, yeah, he was a musketeer, but I don't think of him as a big guy. I don't know who you would cast back then or even cast now to play a pro wrestler that didn't come from
Pro
at least
wrestling.
athletics or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or I certainly wouldn't surround him by like the largest guys in the universe.
In the era of the
Unless
big
that's
guy.
part of the story. Like, he is, part of his gimmick. He's the king. And that's almost like a sarcastic name because he's smaller than everybody and at least, own it instead of just trying to like, don't look. He's just like them.
Yeah, I found myself not so much loving Jimmy the King as much, but toward the end when he turns the leaf and we're I guess seeing his redemption arc where he makes right with his Eugenia wife and gets tickets for his parents to the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And he's waiting for Gordy and we need Gordy to come back or what have you. Yeah, I kind of see a little bit of that. Like,
but see, you like him because of the story that he has in the movie. I don't know why the guys were such fans of him. I know they kind of give his little bio at the beginning of why he's so great, but it also doesn't help that they throw him in the same category. Like the opening credits are this montage of Bruno Sammartino and Andre the Giant and, all these great things. And then, and him and his,
well, that's what they were trying to show, right?
Yeah. It's
They're
tough.
trying to show
It's
that
tough
he's
to
one
like
of the big guys.
it's tough to mix fiction with so much real that it kind of does take you out of it for a second.
Well, it takes you in and out. And that's why I said they played a lot with like, do we want to go all the way with the wrestling or do we want to make it half in, half out? Do we want to, protect the business, as people say, but also expose it at the same time? It walked a very interesting line at times. Now, let's get into, I guess, some of the categories here.
Okay.
If you want
real quick,
to.
though, I do want to talk about Sasha.
Yes,
Rose McGowan. Her character. Did she really have a point other than just being like she didn't accomplish anything?
Other than being what?
Other than taking his virginity.
Yeah.
Which again is a lot. When she first was like liking him, I thought there's got to be a reason. And then she just wanted to be like #1 Nitro dancer. Was that it?
So you know what I thought the point of it was? In some ways, yes, she wanted to be #1 Nitro dancer, but what would a pro wrestling movie be without a baby face turning heel? Right.
Okay.
So we think that she's this hot, awesome, good girl who loves Gordy for him and sees that pro wrestling and kind of also Gordy was living the fantasy of many a wrestling fan who sees a beautiful woman on television and goes, oh, man, it'd be great to be with her. And Rose McGowan's character, Sasha, as you refer to her, I think that was her character's name. That's who she's supposed to be. The one that every wrestling fan obsesses and fantasizes over. Because they even say it like, oh, Gordy says it several times. Oh, Sasha, she's the best.
Sasha.
Girl. I love her. And she's positioned as the #1 Nitro girl. And I want to talk about the Nitro girls too.
Okay.
But they in that moment, yeah. So the wrestling fan lives out his fantasy, gets the girl from TV, only to find out, she's
working for the bad guy, but then
working
she
for the
gets
bad
her
guy.
Comeuppance at the end by getting hit in the face by a ladder.
Yes, don't stand so close to the ring during a ladder match. He tried to warn her.
Yeah,
and I think that's what that was. We had a heel turn.
Okay,
and we had the wrestling fans' fantasy all in one person.
Got it.
But Leo, while we're there, let's talk about the Nitro Girls.
Okay.
Nitro Girls were a real thing. This was something on television. They had girls dancing in and out of break so that the guys would be like, hey, can't go anywhere. Look at that. Right. Beautiful women dancing. One of them is Booker T's wife.
Oh,
Charmel Huffman, a WWE Hall of Famer in her own right. She would go on to be much more than a Nitro girl in the WWE, walking him to the ring every night. They actually met, even though they knew each other in WCW, they met for real on this film set. And this is kind of where the romance blossomed for Booker and Charmel.
Okay. Well, it's all worth it.
It's all worth it. This movie was worth it for that reason alone. And it was cool to see her in the movie a few times, because obviously I've known Charmel for now 13 years or whatever it's been. But one of the interesting things was at the end of the movie, and then we'll go into our categories. At the very end of the movie, you see Sal Bandini, in the back of a Hummer.
Yeah.
One of the Nitro girls was driving, and they picked up Gordy and Goldberg and Shawn, and Sal Bandini's in the back, and he's in the hot tub, it looks like, with two Nitro girls. The one on the left was Charmel. She's the one who kisses him on the cheek as the credits roll, essentially. And so I texted her last night and go, hey, I watched Ready to Rumble for the first time in forever. Why did I never realize that you kissed Martin Landau on the cheek at the end of this movie? And she sent me back the laughing emoji eyes. And I said, was he awesome? She said, yes, in all capitals with exclamation points. She goes, I just remember him holding court when we were on set waiting to film. We would all gather around him and he would tell the best stories. Martin Landau, what a mint.
Yeah.
What a mint.
Who's become like our unofficial
He's the mascot
star. Is this? Yeah. And we haven't even talked about him yet, but this is the third of 6 or 5. Yeah. That he's popped in.
Martin Landau is becoming a Pick Six constant. And do we want to talk about Landau before we get into the categories?
Sure.
We might as well. So Landau, I also think, is based on a real life person. I think he's based off of Stu Hart, which was the father of Bret Hart, who famously trained wrestlers in his dungeon, which was in his house. And Bret Hart, as well as the rest of the Hart family, would say you would routinely hear people screaming for their lives in the dungeon because Stu Hart would put them in legitimate wrestling holds, stretching them, as we call it in wrestling. He'd stretch them until they would quit from the pain. And I feel like that's supposedly who I think Sal Bandini is supposed to be, a Stu Hart archetype of the old school trainer who, even though he was old, he could still kick your butt and put you in those legit wrestling holds like he did with the high school wrestling team.
I see. Yes, he had his own little wrestling school, but if I'm correct, had Jimmy King never heard of this wrestling school when he got there? The guys did?
No, I think they set up the visit to the school, but you hear Jimmy King go, Sal Bandini, it's an honor, and then he throws him on the floor, right? Sal Bandini, want to wrestle? So I think he's one of those wrestling OGs that you hear about, and you're like, wow, he was such a legend in his time.
Okay.
Like maybe Killer Kowalski or any of those kind of guys. Baron von Raschke, some of the great AWA stars of yesteryear in the 70s. And I think that's who he was supposed to be, like a bygone era star who was still
a legend
training.
Yeah. He's like Luke Skywalker in the sequels.
Yes. Yeah. He's like the Luke Skywalker,
right.
and he's wrestling and helping Jimmy King, who I guess is meant to be portrayed as not really a good wrestler.
Yeah.
He's just a
not
big
sure.
Star.
Yeah. But maybe that's it. It was more personality back in his day. And it felt like I had to go back and check the years because I thought, oh, this kind of feels like the Rip Torn character in Dodgeball. But Dodgeball came after, 4 years after, I think, Ready to Rumble. So then it felt more kind of like a like Kingpin or what was the other one I was thinking of? Just it's the mentor that they go to in any sports movie.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the guy who's going to help unlock.
It's got to go to Dagobah.
Yeah. And this is also part of the unbelievability of this movie, which is he's training Jimmy King for, I guess what they're saying is going to be a shoot wrestling fight. Like he and Diamond Dallas Page are going to really fight in this triple steel cage match.
Because that happens.
Because that happens, actually.
This one's real. Oh, see, this is becoming like the whole pro wrestling insider.
Okay, two
edition.
things.
This is what I was hoping for.
Two things I want to bring up. One, there was an idea in the late 90s in the WWF of a thing called the Brawl for All. Have you ever heard of this? So Brawl for All would feature your favorite WWF performers competing in legitimate boxing matches on television. So they would actually go out there and fight for real and swing and hit. And it was an idea to bring in, I think it was, who was it they were trying to make in that? Dr. Death Steve Williams. So Dr. Death Steve Williams was a wrestler, and they're like, this guy's so badass, we'll put him in shoot fights. He'll beat everybody, and then he'll just get really over, and he'll be our next big star because he's a legit tough guy. And then a guy named Bart Gunn came in and actually won the Brawl for All. But guys were getting knocked out on television.
They did it. So it wasn't just an idea.
It was not just an idea. They did it.
Wow.
It's one of the best and worst things in the history of pro wrestling because these guys were getting hurt. They were getting knocked out on television. It's just not a good look. So sometimes the shoot fights happen, and then there's things in wrestling to where sometimes, the guys, they call it working a little snug, where maybe they're supposed to pull the punch, but they hit you a little too hard.
Oops.
They potato you is also what it's called. And sometimes when that happens, you, as the receiving end of this physical assault, are allowed what's called a receipt. So if somebody gives it to you and they hit you pretty hard, you go, okay, I'm gonna give you a receipt. And at some point during the same match, you will then return the favor. You will legitimately hit them some kind of way to inflict the same amount of pain in which they gave you. That's called a receipt, and it happens all the time. Even to this day, you see it. There was a famous one a few years ago where Brock Lesnar was wrestling a guy named Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman was working a little fast, hit Brock a little too hard, and then you see Brock tell him to slow the F down and then punch him in the side of the face.
Wow. So he gave him his receipt right away.
Immediate receipt. Yeah. There's also a good story on YouTube you can find of Booker T and Steve Austin, where Booker hit Austin pretty hard, and Austin immediately gave him a receipt right afterward, and they discuss it on our radio show back in the day.
Would you wait for it? Would you think like you would make him
I'd be patient
when it was coming? Yeah, that's what I would do too. It's like, hey,
I'd be patient.
It's coming, and you have no idea when.
You don't know when it's going to be, but I'm gonna hit.
You don't know what I'm going to hit, but you'll know when it's done.
So not only is it weird that Jimmy King seems to be training for a legitimate fight with his time in Dallas Page, but then Sinclair is so worried about Sal Bandini. That's why he has the Rose McGowan character help set him up by feeding information to Titus Sinclair. Sinclair then sends Perry Saturn and Sid Vicious to Sal Bandini's house to assassinate him. I don't know exactly what their role was, but I was like, now we've jumped the shark here. Like, this would not happen ever in a million years. This is a very pro wrestling thing.
Yes. When did pro wrestlers now become the muscle for the promoter? The guy, They go rough him up.
That one didn't make a lot of sense to me. And it was funny because you probably recognize Sid Vicious. Who was a big deal in the 80s and 90s. Recently passed away not too long ago. I think this year. Either this year or into last year. So rest in peace, Sid Vicious. Psycho Sid. Former WWF champion. But he was a great wrestler in his day. But so that was strange. That was another strange highlight to bring up of why are they assassinating Sal Bandini? It doesn't really make a lot of sense.
The poor old wrestling coach. That is going to teach. What was the ticking clock? It was like 8. It was just like how many weeks before the match? It was like, was it 8 weeks or something? I wrote it down. Like that. I don't remember what, but it was like, hey, that was part of the impromptu deal too. Like, we're gonna do this match. You've got 8 weeks.
The other thing that was just ridiculous. There's several things that were ridiculous. A couple of them were, hey, I need you to help me recruit a posse. Right. And they have posse tryouts. And Where are they? Wyoming? They're in Lusk, Wyoming, I believe.
This is where it feels like a 2000 movie too, where it's like we got to put together the mystery men,
Right. We got to put together the mystery men.
the,
So we
the
have
audition. It's like Pirates of the Caribbean.
Fred the fireman, I believe, the chewer, and then
Yeah.
Kitty, Kitty was there just for like what, gratuitous sexiness.
Sure. Well, now, yeah, this is now. Are we making fun of wrestling again?
It feels like we're making fun of wrestling.
Yeah. Like, look at these ridiculous characters.
Right. The Siamese twins.
Like, see how insane the pro wrestling is with like how outrageous they'll get with these ridiculous characters that normal people would think are weird, but the fans eat it up.
But I will say it was kind of this was a line that I chuckled at. It was a groan and a chuckle at the same time. Because when they're doing the auditions and then they go, here's Kitty. And then he goes, how is she going to help us in Vegas? And then she like disrobes and they say, my friends call me Pretty Kitty or something like that. And then Oliver Platt turns to Scott Conn and goes, what is she going to do? Boob him to death? Which I thought was like a dumb line, but it was funny at the same time.
Yeah, that's the line that they went, go with that.
Let's go with that. Go with
what were
boob
the other
him to
ones?
death.
What were the rejected ones?
Oh,
This was PG-13 though, right?
It was a PG-13,
yeah.
although there was an F-bomb in it. Joey Pants dropped an
Yes,
F-bomb.
He does. That one F-bomb.
One F-bomb.
That makes it cool.
But I actually liked what I found Oliver Platt, his portrayal of Jimmy King, as it got more into the movie. You notice he ends a lot of stuff with baby. It's not good. It's not good for me, baby. I need to get out of here, baby. You know, or I think he sees Goldberg in the gym and he goes, yeah, Goldberg, you're looking real jacked, baby. Looking real jacked, you know, and stuff like that. This is actually how like some pro wrestlers of the day talk.
Yeah. They're doing my babies now.
Yeah. Yeah. The baby, brother, kid.
Yeah.
These are like very common wrestling vernacular. Even, you know, what's also interesting, and you may have seen this in your research, in that scene where Jimmy King is trying to get Goldberg to be a part of his posse, there is a young John Cena in the background working out at the gym.
It seems like they never turned the camera on the right future superstar. They screwed the pooch on Booker
And John
by
Cena.
keeping him in the background, and then John Cena is like a blink and you miss it. Like,
But this
crew
is
member.
before Cena, I believe, was
Yeah.
even signed to WWE and the
Okay.
OVW. So I think he was. I know John Cena's career a little bit. I know he trained at UPW, which was in California. So perhaps they just put out a casting call to local hires to be gym studs for
Right.
a wrestling movie, and then boom, here comes John Cena,
It just happens to be.
the biggest star in the history of pro wrestling, maybe.
Yeah.
17-time world heavyweight champion, holds the record all time world
But
title
that's
run.
kind of cool. Like, hey, he's out of focus. In the
He's out of
background.
focus in the back for a second. A lot of
Just
also
saying.
weird edits in this movie, I will say. Just small things where it's edited strangely.
It was weird that it kind of tried to have, and that was part of the tone too. Like when they did the fantasy sequence at the beginning, I thought, oh, this movie's going to be like that. It's just going to be this crazy, like over the top acting.
Mhm.
You know, it's all $1.25. So that's how we're doing it. Okay, so it's all going to be like this over the top. Everything feels like the Macho Man. This is going to be, if the Macho Man had a fantasy of a movie in his head, that's what we're going to watch right now. And then
Right.
they would do that every once in a while, and that's part of the schizophrenia that we talked about. Just it was a lot, and it was just kind of like, I wish they picked.
Mhm. Me too, because it seemed like there were some tonal shifts.
And then
here.
then you'd have like the funny typical character like Sal Banditi, who is my scene stealer crown, because it's it's Martin Landau.
So okay, so yes, we were in the same place here.
Yeah,
As
that's
far
an
as-
obvious one. Sometimes when we come up with our categories and we say like who's the smaller character that steals the show, it's sometimes very obvious who it should be.
Yeah, and again, I believe he was also our pick for
About
scene stealer.
Kitty,
Kitty's up there.
yeah, I don't want her to
Kitty's
boo
up
me to
there.
death.
I think Martin Landau was also our person for our
For
scene
Ed Wood?
stealer for Ed Wood, wasn't he?
I'm
I
sure.
don't remember.
Yeah.
I think he probably was. He had to be.
Yeah. If he's not, I will change my answer. Because I probably, if he isn't, then I was trying to be clever and just
You're just
not
trying to
have
be,
it
like,
be
different?
like, oh, I'm going to make it be the guy that works at the studio that rejected him. Or yeah, no, it's got to be Lando.
Let's see. Scene stealer Martin Landau for sure. Sal Bandini. Want to wrestle?
But Sting was good too. I liked Sting.
Well, so I've Sting in a later category.
Okay.
Yeah, I've Sting in a later category, which I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Big moment. What was the big moment from this movie? Kind of the moment you'd want to watch again and again. Do you have one? Is it the triple cage match or what?
Yeah, I think that makes me want to watch that again. I keep mentioning, I must have liked the opening scene at the convenience store because I have mentioned that a few times, but I think that also had a lot to do with Macho Man because that's, my favorite guy.
The best wrestler of all time is the Macho
Yeah,
Man
he's up
Savage.
there, at least top 5. I think Roddy Piper is my favorite forever, but
Oh, I met Rowdy Piper
Yeah.
one time. And it was a couple months before he passed away, actually.
Okay,
Sadly.
how was he?
But he was at at Comic Palooza, which is
Okay.
where you and I were
Houston.
last year in
Mhm.
Houston. And I remember going up there with a cameraman of ours named Telly, and we went over to him and asked if he would do a drop for Reality of Wrestling, and he did. He go, "Oh, Reality of Wrestling, be there, be square, babe," is what he said. And I remember
He still had that
Roddy
bag of catchphrases.
he was still cool, man. He was still
Yeah.
Roddy Piper, the hot rod, and yeah, he's one. And I think Dusty Rhodes died right after him or right before. It was back to back. I was like, man, like 2 of the best talkers in the history of pro wrestling out one after another. And Roddy Piper is probably the best, second, probably number 2, but real close to the best heel in the history of pro wrestling.
Lovable heel too.
Lovable
he
heel.
said terrible things. If you go back and do a deep dive on some of the, I think he did blackface at some point too.
He did half blackface.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, then it's half bad.
Make a point.
Yeah, it's only half offensive, but the different era. I mean, even like if you go back and listen to some of the things Bobby the Brain Heenan said,
Oh yeah,
it's
to
pretty-
today's
and-
ears, it hits differently for
yeah,
sure.
and rest in peace, Bobby the Brain.
Rest in peace, Bobby the Brain. But
All
I
my
remember,
favorites are gone. It's
to me,
pretty
obviously, the best heel in the history of pro wrestling, and maybe now it's in front and behind the scenes, depending on what you want to believe, is Vince McMahon. Best heel in the history of pro wrestling.
Sure, I don't think he could help it.
No
It
one
was
can
an
cut a
odd choice
promo.
because when I, was watching, I didn't even know he owned WWF because he was just an announcer. Because they
What a
always say,
maneuver!
Jack Tunney, President Jack Tunney is making these decisions. And now you look back and go, I was lied to. It was him. It was the guy that was going, Jesse.
Yeah,
I can't believe
Man.
you say Jesse Ventura.
yeah. But Vince was great. One time, Vince did a promo where he hired everybody. He hired the audience, and he hired everyone watching on television. He goes, "You're all hired," and he hires everybody, and then he like starts talking about how life sucks, and then you die, and if you want to beat a billionaire, you got to become one yourself. And I just hired all of you in this arena and watching from home just so I could say, "You're fired. Every one of you is fired." And I remember him doing this promo and thinking, this guy, I hate this guy.
Yeah.
He's really good at it.
Who would marry him? And then where would she end up?
Where was she? She's not going to ever, do anything
Nah.
in public.
Something with education, I hope, because she seems smart.
So that was our scene stealer. Big moment. We talked about either pay-per-view or the opening scene. It was cool to see Macho Man, even if it was for a second, because he's in the beginning of the movie and then he's gone.
That's it, yeah.
He's like, I'm
But I
doing
think
one
he's a
day,
good-
brother.
I
I'm only
think it
going to
was-
do one day.
Yeah. I think it was smart to have him be the first cameo because everybody knows Macho Man. So even
Yeah.
if you're going in and not knowing necessarily who Bam Bam Bigelow is, then at least you know Macho.
Yeah, I agree with you. Prop shop. What's one thing that you'd want to own from this movie and put into your home, Jeff?
I've always wanted to have my own wrestling ring.
Mm.
It's on my bucket list at some point to just bounce off the ropes of a wrestling ring. I don't need to climb up to the turnbuckle. I just want to bounce back and then run across and bounce back and then get out of the ring. That's fine.
Next time you're in Houston, we'll make that a reality.
I've always wanted to do that. Like crawl through. I want to see which one I go through. I don't want to go down Miss Elizabeth Way and have to go like to the bottom.
Although
I do
you're not
kinda
going
wanna
over the top.
I won't go over the top. I
Your
probably
middle
the one
rope.
below, but I also want to do the slide, like when they run in,
Slides cool.
slide headfirst in and see like how far I get. Probably not far. Probably hit my crotch. But that's what I would do. So for me, I'll take a ring. I don't know where I'm gonna put it, but somewhere.
It's hard
What about
not
you?
to say the title belt. Although I have a
Yeah.
replica of that championship hanging on my wall over there.
Yeah, you already
so
got it.
it's hard to not say that one. And actually, that's a WCW replica belt, not like from the WCW era. So that's not even like a WWF copy. That is
Yeah.
a WCW belt I have right there.
Now
which
is the
always,
belt. Go
if
ahead,
you
sorry.
look, there's a bend in the top of the WCW title. If you go back and look at late 90s into early 2000s, the title's bent. And they never thought to fix it.
Can't fix it.
Go ahead.
Isn't the belt in the movie like the color scheme is slightly askew?
It looks
I
like there's a
read.
little bit more silver background to
Yeah.
it. It looks like a
I wonder
replica.
why. Yeah, maybe. Well, they didn't want to
Look
get
like
the
a
real one.
replica. So it'd have to be the title belt.
Or
It
a
has to be
dollar,
the title.
or the $1.25.
$1.25.
That'd
That's
be
all I
fun.
got.
Like if people knew and they walked into your office and saw $1.25, they'd be like,
They'd rumble.
not enough.
Oh, I would love
That's
that.
all I got.
Um,
And then you'd
Yeah.
laugh and go, ready to rumble.
yeah, I would say I also would take Sinclair's jacket.
Oh yeah, the
Like
whole
that
outfit.
jacket.
That's what Kid
Cool
Rock
outfit.
now wears when he goes to the White House.
It is very Kid Rockian, which, by the way, there was a lot of Kid Rock in the movie. Right?
Yeah,
There's a ba with the ba and a
Yeah.
cowboy needle drop.
it sure was. Yeah,
This is an interesting soundtrack. Right?
it's 2000 was an interesting time.
Because Kid Rock was always really big into the pro wrestling world. That's actually, ironically, the one and only time I met Kid Rock was at a pro wrestling show. Go figure, in Nashville. I'm looking at the soundtrack here. I want to find the soundtrack to Ready to Rumble.
I saw Motley Crue in there, I believe.
I think there's a Motley Crue. There's a Van Halen, obviously.
It,
There's Run DMC, King of Rock.
Yeah. Motley Crue inspired my song that we'll get to later in the categories for the theme from Ready to Rumble.
Oh yeah, a different version of We Will Rock You is there at the
Ooh,
end.
yeah, bad version.
Very
Not
bad
good.
version.
Did
Scott
not
Whelan.
care. Did
Girls,
not
Girls,
like-
Girls is in there. Baby
Yeah.
One More Time is in there.
Sure.
Let's see.
Probably not on the soundtrack.
Bloodstains, obviously. What else is there? Jump Around? I don't remember hearing Jump Around.
Hmm.
Do you remember hearing Jump Around?
No, but that popped up in a lot of movies too. It makes me think of Doubtfire.
Last Resort. I don't remember Last Resort in there.
It started to blend in
Competition.
so
Oh,
much
breathing.
because don't give a
Yeah. This is my last
yeah,
resort.
it took so much of it was like I'm sure I have a playlist on my Spotify from all that. It's from the angry white guy era.
Yes. But Kid Rock has an interesting place in pro wrestling, right? So not only did I meet Kid Rock at a wrestling show, Joe C., who was his sidekick for a long time,
Oh yeah.
said that he became Kid Rock's sidekick just so he could try to get into the WWF. That was his whole mission. He was a
Oh.
stepping stone. And then Kid Rock actually provided the actually moniker and the theme music for the version of The Undertaker after he shed the dead man gimmick and he decided to be like a biker. He did like a biker thing in the
Mhm.
early 2000s, and he was known as the American Badass and used the American Badass song from Kid Rock. So, and I think Kid Rock's provided the WrestleMania theme song a few times. So, and he's a WWE Hall of Famer. I was actually at Kid Rock's induction and Bill Goldberg's into the Hall of Fame. Go figure. And Hillbilly Jim. I was at that. Hall of Fame. Yeah.
Don't go messing with a country boy.
Don't go messing with a country boy. You know, I was actually seated right next to Booker and Sharmell, obviously, and behind Linda McMahon, Shane McMahon, John Cena, and the Bella Twins. So it was a whole Ready to Rumble
Wow.
thing going on.
And Brad Gilmore the boat.
And the boat was in the building. Second row. Just saying.
Yeah.
Get seats,
And
brother.
if they only knew that years later, Pick Six podcast
We'd be talking about it.
talking about it for over an hour.
Okay.
And we're not even close to being done, everybody. Settle in.
We're getting there. We're getting there. We're going through our categories. One-liner legend. What you got? Will you have a good line?
Shoot,
Other than I'll
shoot.
boob you to death?
That I changed it to that actually. I like just the wanna wrestle that Landau did. It was, classic. I mean, that should have been the tagline of the movie. But I'd forgotten about Boob to Death.
Well, I will say I like all Jimmy the King's catchphrases.
Yeah.
I will rule you is great.
Because he's the king. I get it.
And I like when David Arquette, they're in the trailer and David Arquette goes, "Come on, just one time. Give us a be gone." So I enjoyed all the pro wrestling catchphrases from Jimmy the King. Also, why do you have your finger up your butt? Because I do is a funny one.
Yeah.
$1.25. That's all I got. It's probably gonna be up there.
Yeah.
Boob him to death. Was there any other ones that stuck out to me while I was watching the movie that made me pop? No, I mean those were pretty much
Those
it.
are good. Those are good. And the fact that we've mentioned them all up until now makes them very organically appreciated.
I will rule you. Rewind. Oh no, best shot fired.
Oh yeah.
What do you got for that one? I have an interesting one, but what do you
Okay. Mine is Sting, the descent coming down from the ceiling. It looked pretty. His makeup was on point. He was looking good.
So ours are all like within the same realm. Because mine, I have two. One is I like Gordy's entrance into the pay-per-view
On the motorcycle
for
some
into the
reason.
ring.
Yeah. He got that motorcycle in past his dad
Mhm.
all the way to Las Vegas,
Mhm.
into the MGM Grand Hotel,
Mhm.
into the convention space or, the arena,
The arena.
past security.
Mhm.
I guess he was dressed as a cop. So
Maybe
Yeah,
they
they're like, oh, he's like,
elbow pad.
my badge. And then, hey, I need to take that into the ring. Oh, but there's an event going on. Yeah, it's fine. Is there a ramp I could fly up on? Oh yeah, we'll get you one. And there was. Yeah. That was his like when he came back after deciding wrestling's not for me. And then off camera he decides, it's for me.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I'll take it.
Yeah. Never mind. Sorry about that low moment.
But I did like how his dad all of a sudden because this is actually a good moment. Okay.
Okay.
And I do
I like
and
that
I'm
you have
actually
to- this part's actually good.
and and let me just say my other best shot fired that I liked was DDP's fall through the cages. Because when he hits the mat, you think he's dead.
Yeah.
It was
Well, pro
dead
wrestling.
you never know. So the two things that I wanted to talk about in this match with Gordy's dad first. Gordy's dad says, "Oh, wrestling's for sissies or kids or whatever. You need to stop with all the wrestling crap. Grow up, be a real man." I've heard this before from people growing up, whatever. And then I go, okay. You're not into wrestling. You think wrestling's stupid and silly. That's fine. Let me show you a match.
Mhm.
One match is all I ask you to watch.
That's all it takes.
And 9 times out of 10, people go, okay, that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. I got to give you that one. That was pretty cool, right? And that moment with his dad made me go, I've seen this happen in real life where the dad thinks this is stupid. And then he sees it. And because he has an emotional investment in one of the characters, all of a sudden he's into pro wrestling like everybody else. And that's what wrestling has always been about, an emotional investment in somebody and wanting to see this physical storytelling take place in front of you. It's the same reason we like fight scenes in movies, why we like the Rocky movies. Rocky is pro wrestling. Like it is a pro wrestling movie. Creed is a pro wrestler. Karate Kid's pro wrestling.
Mhm.
But like Apollo Creed is based on Ali, we would say probably, right? And Ali based his whole personality on Gorgeous George, who is a pro wrestler. So Rocky is pro wrestling. Karate Kid is pro wrestling. Pro wrestling is pro wrestling. So this was a great moment where I saw like a conversion of somebody happen into a wrestling fan. The second thing is, and I forgot what the girl's name is, the other girl from the Dairy Queen, not Brittany, but the other girl who Sean ends up sleeping with on the trailer before they leave. And then we see Scott Conn butt on screen.
There do.
Whatever her name is, there's a moment when Jimmy the King wins and you see everyone's celebrating. She's looking at the television, jumping up and down, screaming with incredible elation. And I know this is going to sound silly on the Pick Six podcast about a movie that came out in 2000 called Ready to Rumble, which starts off with sanitation workers becoming pro wrestlers. But when she's jumping up and screaming like that, it does remind me of like why people love wrestling. And like there's something when you're at a wrestling show, Jeff, and you see the people who are bought in 100% and they have the reactions to the wins and losses the way that she did, you go, this is the best thing on earth. It makes you feel like nothing is better than this. And even when I'm watching the show from my commentary position and I jump up out of my seat for certain things, it just reminds you of the romance that you can get swept up in pro wrestling. I know that sounds too deep for the Pick Six podcast about Ready to Rumble, but it did make me think of that in that moment. It kind of touched me just a little bit. And then it cuts to Scott Kahn, which was another great moment in the movie where he throws the powder in Diamond Dallas Page's face. And he goes, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then he says, Diamond upside down is a,
But see, that's again, the tone. Like, okay, is it real or is it not? Like, are you showing us that it's all fake? Like, either show us that the chairs don't hurt or make the chairs hurt or make the powder that, Kubla Khan, what was his name? The guy used to spit the green spew. That's from my era too. You would like spit into his face.
No, you're talking about the Great Muta?
Maybe. I don't remember, but I just remember Jesse Ventura used to go, the green spew. And it would like poison everybody's face because he had the stuff. Wendy was the character, by the way. I looked up
Wendy. Yeah, I recognize her. Who is she?
I had to as well. And I thought, oh, I've definitely seen her and stuff. And then I thought, maybe I haven't. She's in Saving Mr. Banks. She's in The Descendants now. If anybody watches The Descendants, she's the fairy godmother on The Descendants. That's probably her biggest deal.
Wow, she looks familiar.
I know. She looks like a couple.
She reminded me of the actress that plays Velma in the Scooby-Doo movies, and then she's been in the Avengers. What's her name? From Freaks and Geeks. She kind of reminds me of that. So maybe that's who I'm relating her to.
I think she might have done commercials too. That
something.
But when I saw her, I'm like, oh yeah, it's her. And she was good.
So what's your rewind that moment where you want to see it again and again?
Rewind that moment. It's the hallucination at the beginning.
Yeah, it's the best.
I keep going back to that, but it's the weird. This is how this movie's going to go, and it's not. But it makes me wonder what if this whole movie was just being stuck in a pinball machine.
Yes, it kind of feels that way, doesn't it?
Yeah. What's going to happen next, and then poop. But for a second there, it was like this is going to be quite a ride, and it was just not the ride I expected.
Yes, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. So let's move on to. Oh well, let me give you my rewind. My rewind that is anything with the Macho Man Randy Savage. Always
for life. That's not even this movie. Anything with Macho Man Randy Savage.
No.
Slim Jim commercials.
Step into a Slim Jim. Oh yeah. Rewind that plot hole parade. I think we've talked about some of the plot holes here.
Yeah.
So we've already kind of gotten to that. Cameo king or queen. It's Sting as my cameo.
Yeah,
king.
Sting for me as well.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to Is It True Trivia, because I think we're going to spend a little bit of time here.
Okay.
So there's a few things. Let's talk about how David Arquette, instead of just going on a regular media tour, decided to actually go into the pro wrestling business and be on WCW, Nitro and Thunder and pay-per-view.
And do very well.
And do very well, so well, in fact, that he actually won the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. In real life, this happens. They decide.
Deputy Dewey.
Look, pro wrestling has always had a dance with celebrity, right? Hey, if we can get a celebrity in here.
Mr. T.
Mr. T was at the very first WrestleMania.
They did the same thing with No Holds Barred. Zeus was just a character with Tiny, and then he came out as Zeus.
He came out as Zeus on television. But also, like, even in recent years, Logan Paul is now like a full-time pro wrestler. Bad Bunny, pro wrestler. They had Snooki at a WrestleMania. They've had so many celebrities. Donald Trump was involved in one of the biggest WrestleMania main events ever. Battle of the Billionaires. You had Johnny Knoxville a couple years ago did a whole string of appearances for the WWF and had a great WrestleMania match.
All
So
the people that are going to be
WWE
in the cabinet very soon in this administration, you can list them all. They're all the same. Mr. T, Johnny Knoxville.
yeah, all of them.
Yeah, they're all going to be there eventually.
So pro wrestling and celebrity is always mixed. So definitely for WCW, they always brought in celebrities when they could. Shaq had been involved in years before. Dennis Rodman, actually quite well. Dennis Rodman fit into WCW quite well as a member of the NWO. Had a pay-per-view match with Randy Savage, randomly, but he was actually
Did
really
he win?
good. I think he did.
Yeah.
And then there was a tag match that was Diamond Dallas Page and Karl Malone versus Hulk Hogan and Dennis Rodman. This is at the time where like the Bulls and the Jazz were like legitimate, like they were in the finals.
Yeah. And we'll go risk injury
and go do this pro wrestling thing.
Yeah. Well,
the night after, what was it? Was it Game 6 or something? I don't remember where it was, but WCW happened to be in Chicago, and Rodman, in the middle of a playoff series, just decided to go to WCW on the off day and play around. I think that he came out on WCW the night after they won the title, NBA Finals. So they've always played around with it. Jay Leno famously wrestled Hulk Hogan in a tag team match in WCW as well. So David Arquette,
I would do it too.
David Arquette, look, I had my little fora into pro wrestling.
Well, you're living it, so that's different.
But I actually got in the ring one time. It's on YouTube.
I've seen it.
Find it. You saw it.
I've seen it. Very impressive. Crowd went wild, folks.
Crowd went mild. Let's be honest.
No.
So David Arquette in WCW didn't surprise me. Him being the world champion was kind of a strange.
Took it a bit far. Like you would think, like as promotion, he'd show up once.
Yeah, maybe once or twice. Maybe he's like,
as a manager
out, or he's a manager, and like he has
does something sneaky.
Yeah,
foreign object.
So I believe it was Vince Russo, who was the name of the writer at the time in WCW. He was the lead writer for WWF for quite some time, and then he jumped ship to WCW. And he was known for having kind of off-the-wall ideas, such as, let's put Buff Bagwell's mom on a forklift and call it a Judy Bagwell on a forklift match. Let's have the San Francisco 49ers match. Let's have Viagra on a pole. Like let's do all these weird kind of matches, right? He was there's like a joke in the wrestling circles about Vince Russo, who did have good contributions to the world of pro wrestling, but had a lot of silly ones as well.
He was clickbait before there was clickbait.
Yeah, he was. It's like, oh, you got an idea? Put it on a pole. That was like what people say about Vince Russo. Put it on a pole. We'll have a flag on a pole match. We'll have this on a pole match, right? He had the idea putting David Arquette in this title match and make him the world champion.
Big swing.
And it was obviously crapped on by tons of wrestling fans forever. And then there's an interesting part, though, of this story. So David Arquette, this is a story that not many people know. David Arquette wins the title on Thunder, and he's in the locker room, and he's sitting there with the title in the locker room. And there's other wrestlers around, and he's sitting staring at it. And a wrestler who sits a couple seats down from him is the aforementioned Booker T. And Booker's getting changed, getting ready to, go to the next place, make the next town. And David Arquette turns to Booker and goes, "Hey, Book, how many times have you won the world title?" And Book goes, "I've never won the world championship." And he said, I saw David Arquette kind of melt in his seat a little bit. Like, what did I just do? Right. And the next week on television, David Arquette says, I shouldn't be the world champion. Someone like Booker T should be the world champion. He says this on television. And then a couple months later, Booker T becomes the WCW World Heavyweight Champion at Bash at the Beach 2000, which if you want to go down an interesting rabbit hole, Jeff, there's a little documentary I'll send you on YouTube about Bash at the Beach 2000, because there's Hulk Hogan was the champion, worked creative control, didn't want to lose, left, kind of got fired on live television for real. And then Booker, who wrestled earlier in the night, was thrown into another match on pay-per-view in the main event, for the title. It's very confusing. This all is real.
Like he didn't know that he was going to have
No.
to fight again, and they're like, "Hey,
Mm-mm.
not so fast," as he's
Not so
putting on
fast.
his street clothes.
So real life, you should watch that. Bash at
There's
the Beach
so much
2000.
improvisation that I don't think anybody has any idea.
Oh, how much it
Because
goes into
even
it.
the documentaries that I've seen, like Beyond the Mat, they talk more about how you can really get hurt,
Mhm.
but maybe they don't want that much out there as far as the structure of actually writing or how much of it is made up on the spot. But I find that very fascinating. That it's like improv comedy. It's just like, hey, I hope this works out. And you have to worry about what your partner's going to do. That's all. There's so much trust there that they're not going to suck and make you look
Mhm.
bad. And you have to do the heavy lifting. But I'm sure that happens all the time too. We're like,
Mhm.
ugh, I don't want to go in with him. He just kind of bounces. Well, you hear about that with anytime towards the end of Andre the Giant's career. Like he really wasn't doing much other than showing up.
Yeah, well, yeah, but he couldn't.
Yeah.
Like,
So I'm not saying because he was a
physically, yeah.
bad guy. It was just he
Yeah.
was broken.
Yeah, and
He
you know,
shouldn't
he
have
had
been
that agromegaly, I think is what it's called, the giantism. I think he had a tumor on his pituitary gland, which made him not stop growing ever.
Yeah.
Which is rough gig. But yeah, so that David Arquette legitimately won the WCW World Championship. And here's some Is It True trivia. Around the time of this movie's release, David Arquette made a string of appearances for WCW television. In lieu of getting paid any money to him from WCW, he chose to give all of his WCW earnings to the family of deceased wrestler Brian Pillman. Brian Pillman tragically died early during his WWF run. And so he gave the money to his family, which is very nice. Lexis King, son of Brian Pillman, is now wrestling for the WWE. Martin Landau's character is based on, here we go, the legendary wrestling coach Stu Hart. Hart was almost elderly, but still strong and more skilled than people a fraction of his age, as Landau's character is. Oliver Platt accidentally struck Randy Savage in the face during the filming of a fantasy scene. The footage of the incident was shot over Randy Savage's shoulder and can be seen in the blooper reel shown during the closing credits. I did see that.
Sure can. It's it's a good movie when there's bloopers.
According to David Arquette, in a 2007 WWE.com interview, WWE superstar Shane the Hurricane Helms served as his stunt double. Martin Landau was replaced Jack Palance as Sal Bandini. So Jack was supposed to be the one. Look at that. Interesting. Scott Conn did all of his own stunts in the movie.
And he's good looking.
Yeah,
Scott Conn.
He is good looking. During the filming of the tag team match at the very beginning, where you see Billy Kidman defeat Juventud Guerrera and Prince Iaukea, Rey Mysterio injured his knee. That was a maskless Rey Mysterio in the movie. So that's pretty interesting. Check this out. The way Jimmy King lost the title when he was supposed to have won is a spoof of the infamous Montreal Screwjob at WWF Survivor Series 1997, in which Bret Hart was supposed to have retained the title from Shawn Michaels, but was heavily conspired against and lost in an unscripted manner. David Arquette lost his father, Louis Arquette, less than a year after the movie's release. Louis had his own wrestling connection as the voice of Superfly Jimmy Snuka in Hulk Hogan's Hulk Hogan Rock and Wrestling. Look at this.
Okay.
Let's see if there's anything else interesting here. So the character of Nitro Girl Sasha is based on Kimberly Page. Kimberly Page was Diamond Dallas Page's real life wife.
Oh,
there were plans to do a sequel to this movie, which never materialized.
Would it have been Ready to Rumble with like Coming to America had the number 2 replace the TO? Good. It's very confusing. I hate that because when you talk about the bad Coming to America, you go, it's the sequel, but Coming to America.
Let's see. Rose McGowan admitted she hated this movie and didn't want to be in it, eventually giving in after throwing the script in the trash 3 times. Well, that didn't come through.
No, she looks like she's very excited to be there and really gives it her all in her performance.
Let's see. Perry Saturn, one of the 2 men who attacked Sal Bandini, had left WCW before the movie was out in theaters. He would go on to the WWE by January of 2000 to be a part of the Radicals, and then later had a sidekick mop named Moppy. That's very true.
My mom.
While David Arquette and Rose McGowan were love interest in this film, they previously played siblings in the Scream movie.
That's right. That's right.
Didn't think of that.
Yeah.
So the scenario of Jimmy King getting screwed by Titus Sinclair was also based on a real life issue between Eric Bischoff and Ric Flair. Interesting. Okay. Well, that's some of the
I would have liked more of that. I think that's interesting. I think if you're gonna do, I don't know what's the ultimate wrestling movie. It's tough because the wrestler's good, but the wrestler's depressing. So I don't always want to watch the wrestler.
But the wrestler is the best wrestling movie.
It's great. But have they made like, or should somebody be writing it right now? Have they made the wrestling like, doesn't need to give away all the secrets, but kind of like this is the world without it being so sad where you wonder if the guy died at the end.
Yeah, I mean that was a part of wrestling, right? Wrestling in that era that the wrestler depicts, like that is definitely something that, you know, felt real to that era. I think that a wrestling movie nowadays might be a little bit different, but I think that that's still the quintessential wrestling movie. I don't think that there's been one better than that one. It's very, very difficult. And I remember getting to tell Darren Aronofsky that because I just felt like he could have been more exploitive in that film and like really made it look like wrestling's trash, but he doesn't make it feel like wrestling's trash in The Wrestler. He makes it seem like, yeah, they lead a tough life, which is true. The wrestlers of that day did. But there's also like this, I feel like he treats wrestling with real reverence in the film. Like you understand why these guys put themselves through this because they love it so much. And it is something to love, even though it has these difficult things that happen to them during that time. That's when they were working 300 days a year and on the road all the time. And
right.
Jake the Snake and Roddy Piper, I think, are a lot of good, inspirations for what happened to Randy the Ram. Now, subsequently, 20 years after this movie's release, David Arquette would release a documentary film called You Cannot Kill David Arquette, where he gets back into the pro wrestling world, competing in several death matches and legitimate pro wrestling exhibitions, which I remember during this time, he almost died in a death match. Where he
Not a good title. Not a good title. I also, that's just asking for trouble.
Yeah, but interesting tidbit of trivia. Thanked in the credits of You Cannot Kill David Arquette, Brad Gilmore. Brad Gilmore's thanked in the credits.
The boat?
The boat is thanked in the credits. Not
What'd
sure
you
why.
do? Oh.
Not sure why.
Okay.
Not sure why, but my name is in the credits. Can't be a coincidence.
Huh.
And I'm under Pro Wrestling Promoters. They thank me under Pro Wrestling Promoters.
Oh, so you got a job and a credit.
Yeah.
You promote.
Yeah, I guess technically. Yeah.
No, you're on-screen talent. You're talent.
I'm talent. I'm talent and a promoter.
Yeah,
I'm all in one. Let's go to now. We done Is It True trivia. Okay, is this movie better with Jack Nicholson or Denzel Washington as the lead, or do we make them Gordy and Sean?
It becomes the bucket list. I hadn't thought about that. I was just gonna be bored and put Denzel as Sinclair, but no, I like that better. Like having them be elderly and like, but no,
well, like okay, if they're like in the
everything.
peak of their youth, right?
Yeah.
Jack and Denzel start.
Oh, okay.
And Ready to Rumble.
So now we have a time machine. So it's like it's Jack Nicholson from Little Shop of Horrors and Denzel from Critical Condition.
I like it.
Okay.
Then yes, I'm trying to think of how
how
those sanitation scenes would play. Don't do it. You know,
I'm not gonna do it. I'm not. Don't worry about it.
Not gonna do it.
Yeah, would it be Denzel in the porta
I think he's
potty?
Gordy. I think Denzel's Gordy.
Oh, Denzel's Gordy. Okay.
No. I'm sorry. Jack's Gordy. Jack's Gordy.
Yeah. I think
for
so
sure.
too. I want to see Jack on that motorcycle fly into the ring. My dad won't get off my back. It's terrible impression. Terrible.
I can't do an impression of either one of them, and they're like two of the most impersonated.
And we talk about them every episode. Like we should have picked names of like people we could impersonate. Should be like Jimmy Stewart and Macho Man Randy Savage.
Okay, now let's do peak of their powers.
Mm.
The timeline peak of their powers. So I'm going to go through the cast, and you just tell me if this is the peak of their powers or not. Okay, David Arquette.
Yes. Everybody else, no. But yes, Arquette.
I think David Arquette for sure. I just think that this was like during the time where he was a huge star coming off of Scream. This is the peak of the Courtney
Eight-Legged
Cox
Freaks.
relationship.
Yeah.
Eight-legged freaks.
So I don't see him. I think he's great. I love David Arquette. I think he's very
Oh, me
funny. I
too.
think he's quirky. I think he's a weird dude, and I like him for it. Don't see him being the lead anytime soon. Unless it was some like weird independent movie. Certainly not a studio movie, but what's a studio movie anymore? If it's not, it's either a horror movie or a superhero movie.
I watched a screener last night of a movie coming out that I just won't say yet, but he is in the movie. David Arquette is like in the movie. I was like, oh wow, hey, look, there's David Arquette.
Back.
Two movies in one night.
You had an Arquette double feature.
I did. Yeah, because he does Scream. Let's go Scream 2 in 97. He does RPM and Free Money. Don't know those. Never Been Kissed, Muppets from Space in 99. Then he does Scream 3, Ready to Rumble in 2000. 2001, he does 3,000 Miles to Graceland. That's an interesting movie. And then Eight-Legged Freaks in 2002. Then, yeah, I mean, I would say this is like in the middle of his run. So this is definitely
now more nostalgia character of anything because when he came back for the Scream,
came back
5,
Scream, yeah, 4 in 2011, and then Scream 5 and 22,
yeah. Although he is coming back in some way, which is interesting. Spoiler: he died in Scream 5. But he is coming back somehow for the new, Scream 7. But a lot of people that died in Scream are coming back for Scream 7.
Yeah, so maybe
apparently the plot has something to do with AI and
interesting
voices from the past.
Okay, I'm down for it. Peak. Let's keep going with peak of their powers though. Oliver Platt.
Oh yeah, where's he been? Is he still doing stuff?
Oliver Platt's last credit was last year in Babes. He played Bernie in Babes.
A
Merry Friggin' Christmas. I'm looking through Legends of Oz, Dorothy's Return, X-Men First Class. I remember he popped up in X-Men First Class. Okay. That was 2011.
Was he peaking more 90s or 2000?
Let's go back to the 90s real quick. Let's see. Okay, let's go from Three Musketeers. He was in Indecent Proposal.
Always kind of the funny friend.
A Time to Kill.
Yes, I hope they die.
Bulworth, Dr. Dolittle. Bicentennial Man.
Okay.
Then he did Ready to Rumble. And then let's see. Anything else I recognize? Frost Nixon. He did Frost Nixon. That was a good role. Love and Other Drugs. I remember that one as well. That is the Jake Gyllenhaal and Hathaway vehicle.
Has there ever been a starring Oliver Platt?
I don't think since this one. This is he wasn't even top billing on this, but he was second from the top.
So this might be the peak.
Oh, he's in The Bear. He's in that show, The Bear.
Okay.
His Uncle Jimmy. I haven't seen that show, but I know a lot of people talk about it.
It's, yeah.
Oh, and he got a SAG award for that.
For cast?
For outstanding
ensemble. Okay.
Nominated for an Emmy. So, yeah. Okay. I'd say.
Right, so he's back.
I think we're in a renaissance. We're in a Platt renaissance, I think, right now. Scott Conn, I'd say no, not peak of his powers.
Yeah.
Because he'd go on to do a lot bigger movies after this, and then even have like a memorable run on Entourage. He's in Hawaii Five-0 now.
Landau on Entourage too, I believe.
Landau was in Entourage.
Yeah.
Is that what is it? What is his character's line? His name is Bob. Is that something that might interest you?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. I used to watch Entourage.
Yeah. Let's see. Louis Arquette, who was in this movie, who was
he was in Scream.
Yeah.
Scream, the first one.
Yeah,
or Scream 2. No, Scream 2. He's in Scream 2.
It was nice for him to be in this movie. I'd say, not peak of his powers here. I think that was kind of prior to Caroline Rhea. I would say no, right?
No, would that be Sabrina?
I think that's Sabrina. Yeah. Sabrina. And also in the pilot of Curb Your Enthusiasm. in the same year, I believe.
Oh,
Or actually the year before. She was in a
Okay.
television special of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
he's like respected by comedians a lot, and I don't
Yeah.
know if she's ever done for like the masses what she needs to do.
What she's done for the comics.
Yeah,
I agree. I agree. Let's see. Joey Pants. I'd say no.
no, but I
Say
think
that's Bad
he's.
Boys.
I don't think he's peaked. I think he's just always Joey Pants. He's just a plateau. I don't think he
You're
has
right.
ups or downs. I think he's just always pants.
I think you're right. That's a
'Cause
good
he's career to
always kind of-
have. Like he's always working. He doesn't need to be, and Joey Pants is the star of anything. He shows up and you go, okay, good. We're good. Like, you're in good hands.
Yeah.
agree.
I like Joey Pants, man. I'm a big fan of Joey Pants.
Yeah.
Let's see who else. Martin Landau. I'd say that this is coming off of his peak.
Yeah, this is on the way out.
This is on the way out. This is on his way out because he won the Academy Award finally for Ed Wood, like we talked about.
Yeah,
in
that was
94.
like peak 2. That was his comeback.
And that was his
then
comeback. Yeah.
He got to work again, kind of like in a Travolta way, where now people saw him again, and then maybe he took too much. He was happy to be working again, and almost a Bela Lugosi kind of way, just happy to be working.
Well, like he wins a Oscar in '94, and then 6 years later, he's Sal Bandini in Ready to Rumble. It's not like it was a great run there for Landau.
I'd like to point out that this was Brad's pick, and that's what he said as far as the comment.
Well, I
about
mean,
Ready
look,
to
if we go
Rumble.
from winning an Oscar,
I guess,
being in the back of a Hummer limo in a hot tub
with Booker T's wife,
with Booker T's future wife. Yeah, I was a big fan of the Nitro Girls. Big fan. Let's see. Okay.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
Here's an interesting one. Rose McGowan.
When was Charmed?
Charmed was 01 through 06, so right after this.
I think that might have been peak.
Yeah. Yeah.
When was she with Marilyn Manson?
It was kind of had to be in that
Probably
run.
at the same time. So I didn't know who she was until Scream. That's 96.
Mhm.
And then she got to be the hot stuff there for a while with like Jawbreakers and yeah, she had a good run there in the late 90s. So this might be on her way up, but it's not a good role for her. And when you say that she didn't want to do it, it shouldn't be that obvious that she was miserable, but that did not surprise me.
I will say, I'm looking at her things. She did Ready to Rumble, and then we're talking about film credits. Then she did Black Dahlia in 06. That was kind of a big movie at the time. She was in Grindhouse, both of them.
Oh yeah, she was. Yeah, mainly the Robert Rodriguez,
the Planet
Terror.
But she was in Death Proof.
Cherry Darling.
And then she was in Machete, which is another Robert Rodriguez.
Did she not break up the Robert Rodriguez marriage? I believe. This has been a gossip show, but I believe
I don't know about that.
He was married to the woman who produced all his films, Robert Rodriguez, and then she was Cherry Darling in Grindhouse, and then she kept like popping up and stuff. I think they had a relationship for a bit, and I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong thing about Rose McGowan. That you can't win, but
no, they were engaged at one point, according to Wikipedia, and then they split in 09. Okay.
And maybe she wasn't the reason for the breakup, but I believe there was.
That's the rumor. That was the rumor.
Yeah, that's just Austin, Texas gossip.
Well, I will say respectfully to Rose McGowan, I don't think peak of her powers, but she was throwing 1,000 in this movie. She looked great.
She did.
She looked great.
If Oliver Platt doesn't necessarily blend in with the wrestlers, she did blend in with the Nitro Girls.
She did. I agree with that. Couple more here. Okay, change the genre. What would you change it to?
All right, because I definitely thought the characters should be younger. I decided to make Ready to Rumble a 1980s John Hughes movie
Love it.
and used the John Hughes character, usual actors in the roles. So Gordy is now Anthony Michael Hall, and Sean is now John Cryer, and John Candy plays Jimmy King. And Paul Gleason, the principal from Breakfast Club, is Sinclair. And then a couple actors from the era that weren't in John Hughes movies, but I thought they could fit in nicely. Jamie Gertz in the Sasha role. She could be like a little edgy, and she will steal a square of toilet paper for you Seinfeld fans. But she's also
like it.
Star in Lost Boys. And then, for Sal, I decided if it was made in the 80s, it would be very fun casting to go with Burgess Meredith and just flat on do his Rocky Mickey character, but have him be training John Candy as Jimmy King. And then same story happens. It takes place at Shermer High School.
Okay. First off, both recent alums of the Collection podcast, John Cryer and Anthony Michael Hall. You can check those interviews out. I will say this. I wouldn't change the genre because I think I like it in the comedy sector.
Sure. Yeah.
Allegedly, comedy sector. But I'm going to update the cast for 2025.
Cool.
Okay. You ready?
Yep.
I'm gonna go high brow. Okay, so you remember how Franco, and he's not my pick. Remember how James Franco was both like Academy Award level actor and would do silly comedy movies?
Sure.
He had that energy, that playful energy about him.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so check this out. As Gordy, I'm casting Timothy Chalamet. His partner in crime, Tom Holland. Okay.
It's gonna be hard for me to tell them apart, but okay.
Chalamet and Holland,
Okay.
top level. Okay.
Okay.
Sinclair is John Hamm.
Nice. Also, alumni from the Collection, I believe.
Also an alumni. Yeah, Collection
Yeah.
alumni. John Hamm. Yes, of course. I'm putting John Hamm as Sinclair. The wrestlers in the movie are WWE superstars, excuse me. So the main bad guy is the current 17-time world champion, John Cena.
Okay.
And then the good guy who tries to help the Jimmy the King character is going to be Roman Reigns. Jimmy the King is going to be played in this film, right? In this movie by none other than Booker T. Just throwing it out there because he was King Booker. King Booker. Let's make it real. And
how's his acting chops?
Pretty good. He's in a horror movie I think I've told you about before. You need to check it out. Penance Lane. Check out Penance Lane. It's okay. He could pull it off. He could definitely pull it off.
Does he want to play a washed up alcoholic wrestler?
Probably not.
Yeah.
But I'd believe him as
But that's
one,
range.
But you would show him some range, believe him in the wrestling aspect where I didn't believe Oliver Platt. And the Sasha character, Rose McGowan, played by Kylie Jenner. Well, stunt casting there because of the Chalamet relationship.
Yes.
Makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
And hopefully it doesn't become an Affleck, Jennifer Lopez thing where everyone's sick of them by the time this version comes out.
Well, I think that we're getting close.
Yeah.
I think that we're getting close.
So we better make Ready to Rumble 2025.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah. Ready to Rumble 2K25 is what we would call it. You know what I mean? Best use of food or drink. Best use of food or drink in the movie. Is it not the purple Slurpee?
Yeah, it's the. I wrote slushy, but I think it's the same thing.
Or is it when he gives Rose McGowan the bananas instead of flowers?
I'll go slushy. I didn't like the Rose McGowan
romance.
Yeah, that bothered me.
Well, I like when he's like Buenos Nachos, right? And then she's like, "Oh, do you speak Spanish?" Took it in high school several times or something. And then she goes, "Are you fluent?" And he's like, "No, I feel fine."
Oh, gosh. That's what you have to look forward to, Chalamet.
Oh, come on, Chalamet. You can do it.
Shall I? Yeah.
Let's see. Did you do a in credit song?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't get to it. So
That's
what's
all
your
right.
in credit song?
So I was inspired by the Motley Crue song that the Nitro Girls, I believe, dance to. Girls, Girls,
Girls,
Girls.
Girls,
It's a
Girls.
classic. So I wrote, I usually we're supposed to go 90s and have it be like a 90s and credit song, but I decided to go 80s and do a song called Watch Out for Sasha. And I just have a verse and a chorus, but it goes a little something like this. Watch Out for Sasha. So imagine the Motley Crue guitar riff. And it says that she's dancing so raw, which is not, that's WWE, but it's a little wink,
I like
wink.
it. I like it.
Dancing so raw and chasing the fame. She ain't on the card, but they all know her name. She knows just how to make you feel like a man,
Mm.
but she's got herself a scheme and you ain't part of the plan. She's fire on stage, got you locked in a cage. You'd better watch out for Sasha. She's got nitro moves that'll be your doom. You better watch out for Sasha. She'll make you her king till you feel her sting. Watch out for Sasha. That's it. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. That'll be on the new song, the new Ready to Rumble 2K5 25.
I like it. And this is about, so now we're adapting it to kind of Jenner. I like it.
I don't even like that character, but she inspired. Sometimes
like
people you don't like inspire art.
The I'm gonna go home and sleep with my wife award for who won the movie.
Booker T.
Booker T won the movie, right?
Yep.
Because he actually ended up finding his future mate.
He did.
So Booker and Charlotte.
Yep. All behind the scenes. Yeah. Exactly.
All behind the scenes.
Because of behind the scenes. I like when that happens. It's, sometimes that's the story is, it's often like, the movie that didn't necessarily knock everybody's socks off, but they met there.
Well, it's also interesting because we were talking about late night TV before we started rolling, and Conan O'Brien met his wife on an episode of Late Night with Conan O'Brien when they brought a Houston mattress salesman named Hilton Koch, who was known for taking a chainsaw to the mattresses, saying that they're cutting prices in half, to an ad agency in New York to come up with a new marketing campaign. One of the ad execs was Conan's future wife, Liza, I believe. And also, Hilton Koch was a huge sponsor for a long time of Reality of Wrestling, bringing it back to wrestling. So look at that.
How does one, when you're doing a sketch, because I never had game, like how do you turn that from like, hey, we're working together on this sketch to, I guess when you're a celebrity, you could send your person. Like, hey, go get that person's phone number.
Yeah,
see what happens. I don't know how you would do that. I wouldn't, I don't, it's not my, I could never beat anybody.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to know how that.
Yeah. How do people in 2025 even like? How do you
approach that?
Yeah, because do people like get together at work? That people work in the offices? How could you?
It's they don't work in the office, but they don't even work in the office anymore.
Yeah,
right.
But that's true. It's all like on Zoom. Like, hey,
do you like slip into someone's chat?
Yeah,
is that dangerous?
Just try to be flirty, but that's not okay.
Sure, this meeting is so boring, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is boring. LOL, laughy eyes, and then what are you doing after work? And you put the side eye emoji.
And that's how they do. Because me neither. Just kidding. I wasn't asking.
Yeah. Marty, something's got to be done about your kids' award for what happens the next day.
Oh, I had lots of that. Go do your thing. I've got that written here somewhere.
Well, to me, we find out that when they ride off into the sunset, in my opinion, they're riding off into Monday Nitro. And we're going to see Jimmy King back with the title on Monday Nitro with his posse. And Diamond Dallas Page comes out, says, you had a really great night. You were the better man, Jimmy King. They embrace and a hug. We think that Diamond Dallas Page has turned to the good side, and he sees the reverence that we need for Jimmy King. And as soon as Jimmy King starts to walk off out of the ring, Dallas pulls his wrist closer to him. Bang! Diamond cutter, spits on Jimmy King and says, there's still only one king in the WCW, and you're looking at him. Bang! Right? And then we start their next 3 months of matches.
I like it. All I had was that Gordy becomes a like a mid-card wrestler, And then he realizes how embarrassing that he took the belt when someone like Booker T had never had it before. And he immediately goes on TV and says, I should never even be in wrestling. And he becomes a wrestling school coach instead.
I like that. I like that.
I don't know where I got that.
And then finally, sequel, prequel, Prestige TV. I think we already talked about a sequel was in the works. But what would you like? Sequel, prequel, or Prestige Television?
I would like, I'm going to tie it into, if sometimes we talk about if we recast the movie with like Saturday Night Live people or whatever. I'm going to do that in the fantasy world where it's like a reboot, but using cast members from past and present, and maybe and some that aren't even alive anymore. But just I thought of, if this were an SNL movie, who would play some of these characters? And so for my reboot, Gordy is Chris Farley in his prime. Just for the I believe he would think it's real, and I believe he would commit, and I believe his father would give him a hard time, like in Tommy Boy. For Sean, I like Bill Hader. I like Bill Hader in anything, but at least he could just be kind of a smarmy version.
I like it.
For Jimmy King, I've got Will Ferrell, because Will Ferrell. For Sasha, I have Kristen Wiig.
Okay.
Because she could at least make something more interesting with that. For Titus Sinclair, one of my favorites of all time, also no longer with us, Phil Hartman. And then as Sal Bandini in old man makeup, doing a funny voice, Dana Carvey. And Sting is still Sting. Sting, I would not change.
Sting has always got to be Sting.
Sting is Sting.
Just retired.
He's going to have to be, he's going to have to come back for either the reboot in my fantasy world or for the Netflix Ready to Rumble series, because Netflix has wrestling now, so they could do it.
So further reading for this, I would say definitely check out You Cannot Kill David Arquette, Wrestling with Shadows, and the Dark Side of the Ring Bash at the Beach 2000. That would be my further reading for anybody out there who wants to dive more into the world of WCW, pro wrestling, screw jobs, and David Arquette in wrestling. Those would be my recommendations for you all.
What's the best wrestling documentary you've ever seen?
It's a great question.
Thank you. I don't even need an answer. I just wanted the validation.
No, that is a great question. It's got to be Wrestling with Shadows.
Okay, I definitely got to
be Wrestling with Shadows.
Okay.
And there's a long time conspiracy about Wrestling with Shadows, because it takes place right when Bret Hart is signing a new deal with WWF at the time, and then it tracks him through the issue of Montreal into signing with WCW. There happened to be a documentary crew at this time, not produced by the WWE. This was some Canadian guy produced the movie. Long time wrestling lore is that the documentary is a work, that it's not really a real documentary, and that they're working
like they recreated scenes.
No, that it all happened at the time. It all happened for real at the time.
Yeah,
but like they were working us in the footage that we saw. This is a long time conspiracy.
Interesting. I want to see the documentary about the documentary then.
I'm sure there's got to be one eventually.
Yeah.
But it's a long time conspiracy, because at one point, and this isn't a spoiler, in the documentary, Bret Hart goes undercover in a secret meeting with Vince McMahon, and he wears a wire. This really happens in the documentary.
Okay. This sounds like a wrestling plot.
It sounds like a wrestling plot. Is it? Not sure. We're not sure. We don't know. We really don't know. But Jeff, the question finally comes to you.
Yes.
Two things.
Yes.
One, would you recommend somebody checking out Ready to Rumble? The line stolen from the Michael Buffer announcement at the end of the movie. Let's get ready to rumble. It's time. We're ready to rumble. Would you recommend it? And what is your next pick?
I would not recommend Ready to Rumble. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I appreciated it in a weird way, but I'm a weird viewer. So, and also I was assigned it. So I don't know. I said at the beginning, this was a time where I went and saw almost everything. I realize now, if I saw the trailer for this back then, why Ready to Rumble was not one of the ones that I went to see. Just was, I don't know if it was I don't know, but not for me, but I appreciated it for the nostalgia and, yeah, that felt, if you want to go down late 90s, early 2000 fever dream and you haven't seen something before, chances are this is it.
Yeah, so I say that it's one that if you haven't seen it, I just think that and you're a wrestling fan, it's worth checking out for the wrestling tidbits of it. It is such a 2000s movie, so you have to go in with that mindset and know that the comedy is going to be poop humor and gay jokes.
I think even the R word might pop in.
R word runs around there a couple times.
Yeah, it's one of those like, what a time. Although, if you ever visit Boston, Massachusetts, we're still there, so you can hear all those kind of terms anytime you like.
Some of that is on its way back, or never left Boston.
We've taken a trip down that road many times in this one. We tiptoed.
But
this
is a very interesting film. Ready to rumble. So that's my pick. That's pick number 3 for me. But what is pick number 3 for Jeff Smith?
All right. I have struggled with this because I was thinking of going reactionary again, because I have a predetermined list from when we started. And then I skewed last time with North by Northwest. And I was thinking about doing it again. I even texted you last night with a question. And you had not seen it, and I almost did it, but I decided I'm not going to go reactionary. I'm going to go back to the original list. So it'll not be the movie I texted you last night, although I recommend you seeing that movie. I think you'll like it. I think it's on Prime. Okay. For anybody listening, it's Diggstown. I asked him about Diggstown, which is a 90s movie with James Woods, Oliver Platt, young Heather Graham. And it's a fun movie about boxing and con artists and the South.
Love it. All 3 of my favorite things.
I know. So that was close, but I'm going to go back to the list. We are finally going to the 80s, and we are going to one of my favorite years of all time, 1985, with a movie starring a young John Cusack called Better Off Dead.
Oh, okay. I've not seen it, as is the rule here. Better Off Dead is
Better Off Dead
on pick 6, and we will be 6 episodes in at the conclusion of Better Off Dead. Halfway through, we might need to do like a little halfway point and see like where we stand on everything. And
we've got range. I'd love to see how we could tie this all together, because we're just
we're all over the map.
Yeah,
with these picks. All over the map with these picks. And we know what, and like the thing is, long-term listeners of Clue the Movie Podcast or this show, they know at least I have one more pick that everyone knows what the movie's going to be.
You've been a terrible tease, because
I
know it's coming.
I'm playing with, but there's one that everyone knows is coming. So when is it coming is going to be the question.
But the twist may be it never does.
It may not. It may not. It may not. But anyway, that has
just been on a collision course for no reason.
Oh, there you go. That is Jeff Smith. My name is the Bo Brad Gilmore. This has been the Pick 6 podcast talking about 2000s. Ready to rumble. And we'll be back next time with Better Off